Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm super excited to get to be here with you. My name is Jen Davis. I am a MAPS coach. I also am currently the Vice President of MAPS Coaching. Yet I've been at KW for, 11 years. I started off as a buyer's agent with a team and was our lead buyer's agent for about 6 years. And so developed a team within a team model. I developed 2 showing agents. I had an ISA and an executive assistant on the buy side. And we were consistently closing 225 buy sides per year. I think we did that 4 years in a row before I jumped into leading our team and then eventually now leading MAPS. So the buy side is special. It's special to me. I know that we lead with listings, and yet every sale includes a buyer. And so my goal today is to talk to you about success with showing agents. And so there's a lot of information to cover. I typically overdo the information that we can cover in 30 minutes. So I will do my best to answer questions. There is going to be a sign up link at the end of this program. So in the event that you're like, hey, I want more information, you can always sign up to spend 6 more weeks with me in August. So we're going to jump in. I will talk fast if you can listen fast. So I always want to make sure that we start talking about lead generation and TCPA compliance. So making sure that we're following all the rules and regulations, make sure we're referencing do not call lists when we are reaching out to potential clients. So this is about me. I've kind of gone through it. I am located in Springfield, Missouri. Our team closes over 500 units a year with 6 agents in production. So we have what we call a team dependent model, which means we provide a majority of the leads and the administrative support. The way that we are able to do this is we really take everything off the agent that we can and trying to keep them in their top 20%. So one of the things that we found that we were able to do is utilize those showing agents. So showing partner model, we're going to jump right in. So what does the showing partner model look like, and when do we add them? So the showing partner is responsible for showing property. Big surprise there, right? Some people call them showing agents. Some people call them showing assistants. Some people call them field agents. All of them are the same thing. It may just be a little bit of a different structure team to team. I never utilize the term showing assistant because I don't know that anyone loves to be called an assistant. They're a licensed agent. They're an expert in the field. Their responsibility is to show properties to qualified buyers and get them to the point of writing an offer. They're going to work primarily for and with the lead buyer specialist. So if you are a rainmaker wanting to hire a showing agent and you don't have a buyer's agent, that's okay. Just replace lead buyer specialist with rainmaker. If you're a rainmaker and you have a buyer agent and that person is going to lead the showing specialist, totally cool. That would be the person you want to sit in on the KPA process, because whoever does the life story and motivational interview, that becomes that person's leader. So whoever is leading the showing agent should be involved in the hiring. So they're going to work primarily with the lead buyer specialist to find a win property for the buyer. So a showing partner is a lead nurturer, an expert in the field, and they're a forward pacer. So what do I mean by a forward pacer? It means someone that has a high sense of urgency. So at the end of a showing, if I'm showing Jeff, you're on my screen, if I'm showing you a house and we get to the end of that property and you don't love it, my job as a showing specialist is to get you back on my calendar. So Jeff, oh goodness, I'm so sorry this property didn't work out for you. Let me connect with our lead buyer's agent and we're going to do another search for you. We're going to find some properties that we think might work better. Can you go out tomorrow or Saturday? You and I are going to have a conversation. I'm going to get you back on my calendar. So as a showing specialist, I am going to control the cadence of how often we go out together. So that's what I mean by a forward pacer. A showing partner is not a lead generator. They're not just a door opener. So some of you are like, no, everyone on our team is a lead generator. I get that. The way that the showing agent, and we'll get into compensation in a little bit, the way that a showing agent is compensated is to show properties and get people to the point of writing an offer. Part of your job as the lead buyer's agent or the rainmaker is to have enough deals in the pipeline for that showing agent to go show. So I believe that the showing partner is there to help you grow your business. They're growing it though by taking something off of your plate so that you can focus on your top 20% activities. So who does a showing partner model work for? I see we've got some comments in the chat. Oh, we've got some notes. Okay, somebody did ask a question. Will there be a recording of this that we can get by chance? Yes, anyone that was registered for this will get an email recording sent out to them sometime tomorrow. So who will the showing partner model work for? An agent that has mastered personal productivity habits. So put in the chat, just give me a thumbs up if you have taken 6 personal perspectives. So 6 personal perspectives starts with self-mastery. Right? We're gonna master ourselves first. So if I'm not great at showing properties, if I'm not great at forward pacing buyers, if I'm not great at holding a great buyer consult or strategy session, I'm probably not the person to lead someone else. That's going to be true in really all things. So somebody that it's going to work for is someone that has mastered those personal productivity habits. An agent that has team administrative leverage in place. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's what's going to happen, guys. If I send out, say Jeff is my showing agent, and Jeff goes out and he's showing property and he needs utilities or covenants and restrictions or information on the neighborhood or anything that he might need to help him get somebody to the point of writing an offer, and I don't have an admin in place that he can ask those questions of, I become his admin. So when if I want Jeff out showing and selling and Jeff calls me to get covenants and restrictions or utilities, that's not my best use of time. I have to still remain in my top 20%. So when we look at what piece of leverage is this, it's after you have administrative support in place. This is going to work for an agent that's committed to mastery. One of the most humbling experiences in life is to lead others. As you train and lead others, all of a sudden you start to see your own habits, both the good and the bad. You'll see what people have learned from you, and you'll see what they haven't learned from you. Every time I've been frustrated with a showing agent on lack of response time or sense of urgency or communication, almost every time it's been because that's what I've demonstrated to them that's acceptable, right? So one of our coaches oftentimes will talk about, we hold ourselves to the standard of what our intentions were, right? What we intend to do, that's where we hold our standard, but we hold other people to the standards of what they actually do, what their reality is. What I want you to learn from this in leadership, we've got to really look at, as we're watching the people that we've trained, it's a really good piece of feedback on what we can do better and how we can improve. It also is an agent who's decided to succeed through others. So I look at success like a ladder. Who are you learning from and who are you pouring into? So when you look at it like a ladder, if I'm going to move up a rung, so if I'm going to go from lead buyer specialist to co-owner of a team, or I'm going to go from buyer's agent to listing agent, whatever that might look like, as I leave one rung of the ladder, I have to have somebody that's going to take what I was just doing. Because if someone doesn't take that role and responsibility, then all of a sudden our team isn't functioning the same way that it was, because we don't have anyone doing it. So I need to make sure not only am I pouring into the people that I want to lead, I'm making sure that they have the tools and skills available to them so that when they get into my role, they can take it from me so that I get to go and have another opportunity. So who does what? When we look at the showing partner model, many times people are like, well, what does the buyer's agent do? What does the showing partner do? So the showing partner is the point of contact for buyers who are actively home shopping. So this may look like, let's say Mike is my client and Jeff is my showing agent. If I had just done the strategy session with Mike, I've introduced the idea of having a showing partner help. And I'm going to say something like, Mike, I'm so excited. I believe that I can find you the best house at the best price in the time frame that works best for your family. As you know, this market moves quickly. And I never want to get in the way. I never want my schedule to get in the way of you getting in to see a home. There may be the occasion that my right hand, my showing partner, Jeff, may step in to show you that property so that we can get you in around your schedule. Does that work for you? 98% of the time, Mike is going to say, yeah, he wants it to work around his schedule. So I'm going to say is awesome. I'm going to loop us all into a group text because I want to make sure that at any time we're all in conversation so that we know how to best help you move forward. What happens then is Jeff is actually going to step in. He's going to schedule the home tours and he's going to prep buyers for writing an offer. Here's what happens next, right? They find the house that they want. He's passing that information to me. I'm reaching out to the buyer and calling them. What I'm doing as the lead buyer's agent is I'm doing the strategy session. Jeff makes money being in the field. Jeff doesn't want to sit with me in a room doing a strategy session. He wants to be out showing property because that's how he makes money. That's his top 20%. So I'm going to do the strategy session. I'm going to loop in the buyer and the showing partner. And I'm going to make sure that Jeff, as a showing agent, has as much information as he possibly can about this buyer so that he feels really confident in how to help them. And then anything that's going to be negotiated is also my responsibility. That means contracts, right? We're going to negotiate the price and the terms. That means any type of home inspection, repairs. Some of you are in markets where we can ask for repairs again. Some of you are not in markets where you can ask for any repairs. And then any type of, appraisal issue that may or may not pop up. So some of you are, I think, Jeff, you're on Kyle, you work with Kyle and Caroline. And so I don't know that you guys can really negotiate all that much just yet with inventory, yet you've got the ability to, the buyer's agent is the one that's going to step in and have that ability to negotiate. So any type of negotiations is going to come to the lead buyer's agent. So what happens after a showing? This is what we call a conversation template. So when I gave you two options on the screen, when we talk about conversations to practice and to have, if you're going to utilize a showing agent at a high level, you're going to take this and make it your own. This is just a conversation starter. So let's say Jeff takes Mike out and Mike finds the house that he likes. I'm going to call Mike and say, oh my gosh, Mike, so excited. I understand you found a house today. Jeff let me know what a great house it is, and he asked me to run some numbers for you to establish fair market value. This may change based on where you're at in the market, right? Depending on what market you're in, you're going to need to tweak this. Fair market value may not be a thing where you're at. It may just be you're paying this plus a certain percentage over list price. Based on comparables, the house should sell anywhere from X to Y. The reason I give a price range is because when there is plenty of inventory, I want you all to be prepared. So when there is plenty of inventory, you don't want your buyer to think they can start so low that you actually need to negotiate the buyer up to what the realistic starting price would be. The buyer is our client. We never want to be in conflict with them. So in my opinion, I would start negotiations at this. Some of you are like, I'm never going to give a price. I want it to be the buyer's price. That's cool. You just have to make sure that in your strategy session, you let the buyer know what a normal range would be at or above list price, right? Things are selling 20% over list price or 30% over list price. So what you're doing is you're just setting the stage for, we need to start negotiations. What are your thoughts? I then might throw in something that Jeff had told me. Hey, Mike, I know Jeff mentioned that the HVAC unit was a little bit older. Would you feel more comfortable asking for a home warranty, or do you feel pretty good without it? I want Mike to know, as the client, that Jeff and I have had a full conversation. It could be, hey, Mike, Jeff mentioned that there was actually a broken window pane on the garage. Just wanted to make sure, is there anything that we need to address with that? All of a sudden, Mike feels better that I have not seen the house because I've had great communication with Jeff. And then I'm going to say, is there anything that stood out to you that we need to address in the offer? I'm giving the opportunity for additional feedback to get, how do we write up this best offer? Option number 2, let's say buyer doesn't like the house, right? Mike goes to the house, Mike doesn't like it. So I say, hey, Mike, I'm really sorry. I know that you all went out today and you looked at 3 houses and none of them worked. Based on our strategy session, I really think that I missed something. When I was looking in my head, when I was picturing the house that you all would buy, I was picturing the house at 123 Main Street. It's exactly what I thought you would buy. Would you mind to clarify for me what it is I need to adjust with our search so that I can make sure that when we go back out next time, we find you a better house to take a look at? All I'm doing is I am regrouping every time they don't find the house that they like, because now I'm in constant communication. I'm still involved. I may not be showing you houses, but I'm still involved in the process. It also gives me feedback so that we don't get to the end of showing 10 houses and we have that thought of, what happened, right? How did we get to this point in showings and they still haven't made an offer? We're doing a regroup each time to make sure that we're readjusting expectations and changing things that we need to change. So when we look at when do we hire? When do we do this? The showing partner is actually going to be your last piece of leverage. So what I want you to think about is, many of you are out there and you're tired. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard couple of years. And you're like, I don't want to keep showing all these houses. I'm going to bring on a showing agent. A showing agent is your last piece of leverage because it's the highest, it's going to be a high ROI for you, but it's also the most expensive piece of leverage. So you really want to make sure that you've got an admin first. You really want to make sure that you have enough leads, that leads are almost falling off your plate. We're not bringing in someone just to get rid of something we don't like. We're bringing in someone to help us grow our business. When I hired a showing agent, the year before, I closed 110 buy sides. I showed them, I wrote the offers, I handled negotiations, I did all of those things. Now, I waited too long. 110 was probably too many, yet I had such a system in place because I had someone helping with the admin work. I had someone helping with the lead nurtures and the lead follow-ups and doing all of those things, that I was really just in showings and negotiations. This person that we bring in, you have to earn the right to get to have a showing agent because of the way that they get paid. We need to make sure that there's plenty of business for them. All we're doing is running the MREA model on the buy side. So think of your lead buyer specialist as the rainmaker for a buyer-based business. So just like you would follow the org chart, that leverage, production leverage, is the last piece of leverage. So think about the principle of greatest leverage. This is that 80-20 rule, right? 80% of our income typically comes from 20% of our efforts. What we're doing is we're narrowing our efforts. We're hyper-focusing on those top activities, because the more we focus, the more laser focused we are, the more exponential the results are. So every time we get to have a piece of leverage, we're just leveraging off that next thing to narrow our 20%. The showing partner is going to actually be the leverage for the piece of business, or for the part of the business that's your relationship with the client. It's a really important hire. You're giving them your friends, you're giving them your family, you're giving them your past clients, you're giving them the people that you want eventually to be past clients and to give you referrals and reviews. So when we look at hiring the showing partner, my advice would be, find someone that you would like to spend more time with. When I look at having the opportunity to hire someone that might help my best friend, I have to take into consideration that my best friend has expectations of how someone that represents me will show up. We want to look at focusing on the opportunity rather than commission splits. So there are a lot of different ways you can pay a showing agent. I'm going to go through a couple of them. Before we get there, though, one of the things I found, and I've had a lot of showing agents. My first showing agent was with us for 5 years. And she was closing anywhere from 90 to 100 units per year. She made six figures in Springfield, Missouri, which is pretty awesome. She wasn't an agent when I met her, though. It's challenging sometimes to get somebody that's currently an agent to see the opportunity of what it can be versus what they're used to as far as a split goes. So just a tip, some of our best agents come from outside the industry. Pay structures, industry standard. So what most people do is they basically pay the showing agent 10% out of the buy side of the commission. So if the buyer agent is on a split with the Rainmaker, that money typically comes from the buyer agent. I did it a little bit different. So I am in Springfield, Missouri. I have a lower than average sales price, and I didn't want a lot of turnover in the role. So I brought somebody in with a base salary. Now, it wasn't much. It wasn't much of a base salary. It was $18,000 a year. And then I paid 12.5% out of my side of the split. So as a buyer's agent, I paid the salary and I paid the percentage. The reason that I did it that way was twofold. Number one, I wanted somebody long-term. Number two, median income level in Springfield, Missouri is $40,000. My goal was to get somebody to make somewhere around $50,000 their first year, and then from there be able to grow it. I looked at it and I thought a college graduate would expect to make somewhere around $35,000, $40,000, $45,000 a year at an entry-level position after college. If I'm going to ask somebody to work nights and work weekends and handle customer service type issues, I need to make sure they're well compensated so they stay. So the characteristics that I hire for are somebody that's coachable. They're willing to learn. They're open to feedback. They're hungry, right? That's why we did the small base salary. Is I wanted to make sure that they weren't stressed. They had enough to cover the very, very basics, but there was enough of a reason to keep driving. I also wanted somebody with a high sense of urgency. High sense of urgency isn't something that you can train. It's, you know it when you see it. Somebody that moves the ball forward faster, right? We talked about that forward pacing. Who's going to make sure that they get that buyer back on their calendar? Who's going to make sure that if this person wants to buy inside of 30 days, that that person's going to get a call from them every day until we find them a house. High sense of urgency shows up like someone calling for sale by owners or expired listings or doing a circle prospecting session to find inventory for their buyers that there's nothing on the MLS for, all in a TCPA friendly way, right? We're looking at our do not call list. So we want to make sure that when we're hiring someone, we've got someone that wants to move it forward as fast as possible. So here's my contact information. I'm going to open it up. We've got some questions. We also, so if there's any information that you need, you're welcome to email either myself or my executive assistant. I'm going to run through some questions. I'm going to put this QR code up. If you want more information about buy side, we're going to run Mega Buyer Agent starting August 31. And it's how to build out a buy side. It's everything from, getting from 50 closed units a year to the 225. We're going to talk about lead generation. We're going to talk about hiring. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. And we get into more detail on showing agents. Okay, so let's see what questions. We've got some thumbs up. Oh, because you guys have taken 6 personal perspectives. So how do I do the handoff? Tiffany, that's a great question. So the handoff is partly a conversation. So, if I'm talking to the buyer and I mentioned it earlier that I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I never want you to miss out on an opportunity because of my schedule. I want to make sure that we always have you covered. So, Mike is our top showing partner, and he's an expert in the field. Mike at this point shows more properties than I do. He's in and out of more houses. He has a very clear picture of what value is, and he knows what to look for if there are any concerns. So in the event that I'm not able to show you, are you comfortable with Mike taking you to see the house? 98% of the time they're fine. The 2% of the time that they're not, honestly, it's happened so rarely, I don't even know that it's 2%. I'm going to just dig in a little bit deeper. What's going on? I've been able to pass almost every person to a showing partner. So when you say hired, does that mean you have an LLC or they get hired and paid by you as a W-2? So there are different ways to do this, and that would be state specific on how, and also working with your market center. So I always want to make sure that our showing agents are still, we would pay a team cap with them, and they would still need to pay royalty. So you need to talk to your market centers about how to get that set up your best way. Bryce asked, what do you think about bringing a showing assistant with you to the first meeting of the client instead of the handoff? Bryce, you absolutely can. I never was able to do that because of the sheer volume of business that we were doing. I really wanted the buyers the showing agents to be out in the field with buyers. So I really handled it at that first meeting and having the conversation with the client. It doesn't mean you can't. You may find, though, as you start to leverage some more showings, that it doesn't always become possible. So I would just suggest building out a system that would work at 50 houses or 500 houses, or 50 families and 500 families. So absolutely, if that makes you feel more comfortable at the beginning, do that and look ahead to start building out that system. If the buyer partner also has a real estate business, are they allowed to have their own buyers and listings, or do they refer to the lead agent? I never did this. So Kara, if somebody was part of my team as a showing partner, they were my showing partner. So if they had other, if they got referrals in, we handled it the same way we would within the team. So I never took listings. If I got a listing lead, I passed it to a team member. If the listing agent got a buyer lead, he passed it to me. So that would be based on your team structure. So I hate to give a blanket statement, yet every showing partner I've had has just been fully my team member and working with us. Josh, are all of these dialogues in the 6-week course? Yes, plus probably 50 to 60 more. You will find that I love role play and dialogue. So we have documented almost all of them. Sometimes we'll come up with, somebody will email me and ask how I would handle it. And we role play it until we get it right. And then I add it to the course. So yes, they're included in it. Consideration if my admin helps me with showings. So if your admin helps with showings, I didn't do that because we had a showing partner. You might look at it and think, are you going to pay them per door or maybe a smaller percentage at closing? I love to tie things more to cost of sale and a percentage so that someone's not incentivized to show more houses. So when we pay per door, if you get the wrong person, sometimes you can end up spending a little bit more because they take that extra time. Do you ever use the DISC or KPA to help find your partner? I always use the KPA. So when I look at a KPA, I follow that for every hire, not just showing partners. So Carlos can attest to the fact that I did one this morning at 8 a.m. So I love doing the KPA. I go through the whole process. My favorite parts are life story and motivational interview. So thank you. I want to make sure that I honor your time, and we started on time and we will end on time. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Many of you, I hope I get to see at Mega Camp. And so have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Thank you.